a visiting scholar at the Bipartisan Policy Center. He also served as undersecretary of the Treasury for President George H.W. Bush. He is with us now from D.C. Jay, thanks so much for joining us this morning. We have the Senate vote still ahead. We understood the House vote was the trickier one. That's over. Now we look ahead to these super committees as well. Who's going to be on them in your view? We know it's 6 and 6.
Well, I guess no one really knows, but the one thing I would say is that these committees are going to be set up to succeed. This was put together by the leadership on both sides of the House and by the White House, and they're not going to stack them with people who are not interested in doing a deal. So you have to think that they will be created in a way that creates a path to a deal, because it's really too big to fail. I mean, the consequences of a failed deal are substantial for both sides. Which
is a great point to make, Jay, because I think after all the wrangling that we've seen over the past few weeks, there are many people who are perhaps worried that this super committee is going to be hijacked by special interests and just hijacked by lobbying dollars.
Yeah, I just don't think that can happen. I think the leadership, they see this, and there's going to be a way for them to get 7 out of 12 votes, and I think they must be very consciously putting together a diverse group that will be able to get to an answer. Because if they fail to get to an answer, you have these draconian cuts on defense and Medicare service providers, which are anathema to the Republicans and Democrats, respectively, and it's really set up that way. So hopefully the personnel will reflect that necessity.
Now, Jay, let me ask you, as you look forward over the next couple of months, and of course Congress has to deal with any number of other issues, have you created so much ill will through this whole process that it gums up the wheels of government?
I don't know. I think this is one of those things where we really don't have any choice. Again, the mechanics of it are set up so that it will have to succeed, or the consequences are really too severe for either party. Is there ill will? Yeah, there's ill will on both sides, and that's just the way it is these days. It's a fairly polarized environment up there. But, we have to, I think, take a step back and see that we got $2 trillion worth of deficit reduction out of it. That's not nothing.
But it's not nothing, Jay, to your point. But S&P has also said to avoid a downgrade, we needed to be closer to $4 trillion. Does that mean you see that downgrade coming?
I don't know. I think S&P needs to reserve judgment and wait and see how this committee works out. I'm aware of what they've said. I'm wondering how they're enjoying being quite this much in the spotlight, and maybe next time they'll try to stay out of at least this kind of a shooting war. But my guess is that they will at least wait to see how the committee works out, and I think they ought to.
Jay, we thank you. We're going to be back with more. Jay Powell, visiting scholar at the Bipartisan Policy Center, former undersecretary of the Treasury for Finance under President George H.W. Bush.